Hi, welcome to Everyday Extraordinary Women. In this week's video, you're going to meet Kara and Sharon, two amazing writers forging their own path here in Hollywood. So grab a cup of tea and join us. Hi everyone, welcome to Everyday Extraordinary Women. These are my two amazing guests today. This is Kara and Sharon, and they're both writers that are making their way in Hollywood, and they're doing amazing things. So we're just gonna jump right in. How did your journey start as a writer?
Way back when I was 8 years old.
Oh.
And in the third grade, we had to write an Aboriginal Dreamtime story because I'm Australian. So that was our creative task for a lesson. And I wrote a story about how the platypus got its bill, and I received a principal's award for that story because it was so creative, apparently.
So you're an award-winning author.
I am. 8 years old. I'm published at school.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's like my earliest memory of writing and like enjoying the process and like coming up with the ideas and stuff. But it didn't really stick necessarily. I just knew like creativity was my thing.
Right.
So I loved art and everything as well. And so it took me a little while to come back to it later on.
So Kara, your turn.
Well, I was always surrounded by writers. My mom is a writer. My brother, his teachers went crazy over his writing. In middle school, I met my best friend, and she was a writer. So I talked plot, and I talked characters, and I wrote, but I was not the writer.
Okay.
Because I knew my brother and my mom were the writers. And I was writing, but it was, it was just a thing I did. It wasn't actually anything I felt like it would be anything. And then in college, I went to Kazakhstan. And when I got back, I had a short story in my head, and it wouldn't leave me alone. And I was like, well, I wonder if I can get college credit for writing the short story. So I went and signed up for the class and wrote the story that needed to be written and got credit for it. And then that was kind of fun. So I found a playwriting class, and I took that, and that was fun. And then I ended up at a writing conference because my mom and my best friend went to writing conferences. And a woman from Hollywood was there, and she was like, anyone have any scripts for me to look at? And not very many people did. And so I went up and I was like, well, I have a play I wrote. And she was like, I would love to read that. And she sat down and just quietly read it. And she looked at me and she was like, you have specification in here, which is something you can't teach. Have you ever thought about going to Hollywood? And I was like, oh, I'm going overseas. I want to be a missionary. To which she was like, well, sometimes people are missionaries in Hollywood. And I had never considered that angle before or anything. That woman changed my life, and she likes to say she discovered me, even though my career hasn't really taken up. And they say it takes 8 to 10 years to be an overnight success in LA.
Yep.
And I'm coming up on my 9th year in July.
So
maybe.
everyone get ready. Everyone, she's going to be a star. What has been the hardest thing about pursuing a writing career here?
So many things. Let's see. Just your general, I need to sit down in my chair and write. Because, I will clean my kitchen. I will be hands on my knees scrubbing the floor. And I do not scrub floors. I like to say that you can tell how much a writer is writing by how clean their kitchen is.
So how do you get past that?
I create a space. I have actually done it many a time where, I will get out a pretty teapot. I'll get out a pretty teacup. I will create a space in my apartment for me to write. I'll light a candle, stuff like that. And then I have no excuse. And that actually helps me a lot. It's just to put in all those fine details.
So Sharon, how long have you been in Los Angeles?
Actually, today is my 3-year anniversary.
Oh my goodness!
Yeah!
Congratulations!
Thank you.
I will have been in LA for 3 years in August.
Awesome.
Yeah. So when you've been here pursuing a career as a professional writer, what would you say is the hardest part about doing that?
Well, I think for me, the day job paying the bills thing has been a big part of pushing the writing aside. Because for me to be here, I need a work visa.
Exactly.
Finding employment was challenging. I felt like I couldn't dedicate time to writing because that time should be put towards job hunting to make money to then have time to write. So, so that kind of that was a pretty long process. And just last year really was my first year of having a full-time job, not worrying about money, not worrying about job hunting.
Do you find now that those things are taking care of that? When you sit down to write, there's more of an ease to it?
I think for me, writing's still its own challenge. And I have a really hard time writing in my house. So I need to get out. I need to go to a cafe, somewhere, be in a different environment where my choices of doing other things is limited. But like once I do that and I dedicate that time, like it does come, but sometimes it just takes a little while to kind of kick off.
So on the flip side of that, what is the funnest thing about pursuing being a writer here in LA?
Hearing the words come to life, through the actors. Like that's been really fun. And because we are writing comedies, to hear that the jokes in my head are actually working when these people say them is like so amazing. And I'm like, oh, it's not just me that thinks I'm funny.
So hopefully we have some women who are interested in being writers. What advice would you give to them?
Well, I would first of all say the best piece of advice for anybody is to actually write. If you want to be a writer, you have to write every day, because the more you write, the more you improve the quality of what you're doing.
Writing needs to be important enough that you actually are doing it. Yeah, that there's stuff that is being completed and finished, and you're making it all the way through. So whether that takes a month or a few weeks or a year, but like at the end or at the end is important.
Yeah. So just writing. That's like sitting down and doing it.
Finding other writers. Writing is a weird, tricky thing where you write in isolation. So if you're an extrovert, that part just about kills you.
Yeah.
And then on the other hand, you have to share it with others and talk about it with others. So if you're an introvert, that part almost kills you. So like it doesn't matter which more way you lean. Like there's something about it that is difficult. But there's always collaboration in writing.
So I'm just curious to know, because I am a creative person and I know that I have internal battles that I have to overcome. So would you share with us any internal struggles you've had to overcome?
Yeah, I think for me, definitely confidence has been a big thing, especially before I went to film school. Because I was just writing these short stories and sharing them with people that I knew, I wasn't really sure whether I had any talent.
Right.
And so film school was a good kind of turning point where it's like I had teachers that, gave me the feedback and supported me and said, yes, you should keep pursuing this.
I felt a little bit like an imposter when I first got out here, because I went through this writing program where everyone in it was like, I knew that this was my dream since I was like 3. And I was like, I just figured this out like a couple years ago. And I'm just here and I'm going to be here until otherwise. And I don't know if it has to be your, the thing but it just needs to be the thing that you are continue to be committed to.
Yeah, I love that. I love that word, commitment, being committed to it. So you guys are writing a project, a new project. Will you tell us about that?
It's a world premiere.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, and it's marked as so because it's at the Hollywood Fringe Festival, which is happening in June.
Okay, what is that for our viewers who don't know what the Hollywood Fringe
Festival is?
So
a Fringe Festival, it's basically a festival where anybody who wants to put a production on that's within the performing arts can do so. There's no application, there's no approval process. It's just if you want to put a show together, you can. So that's kind of a great opportunity for people like us who are writers to get our writing out there as, an initial exercise and see if people like what we're doing. So,
The main rule of the Hollywood Fringe is don't be a jerk.
Yeah.
So,
But that pretty much goes with LA. I feel like people here are like, don't be a jerk.
Yeah. The most successful people are the ones who aren't jerks.
Who are nice.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But so the play itself, though, is an immersive comedy experience, is how we're pitching it. So immersive theatre is something that's really up and coming at the moment, like those escape rooms. They're theatre-like, but that's a good example of immersive, so where the audience comes in and gets to kind of be a character within the show.
Yeah.
And so that's what we've done, is written an immersive comedy.
Is this the first time either one of you have written for the Hollywood Fringe Festival?
Yes.
Is it scary?
Yes.
And exciting? So what's the most terrifying part about this project?
I think for me, it's actually whether we're going to sell tickets. Like being a designer, I have a marketing background, but I always have a much harder time marketing myself than I do marketing other people.
I go back and forth. I'm like, we're going to sell out completely, and then the people that we promised tickets to won't be able to come. And then I go back into like, maybe no one will come.
Depends on the day.
Yes.
For those watching and who are like, I want to go, how do we go? How do we find tickets? What do we do?
Okay, so my show is called John Stamos is My Baby Daddy. And we've got a website right here, which is hff17.com/4343. And that's the website that has all of the info and where you can buy the tickets.
My play is Rainbow Brite Power Naps. And if you put in the promo code TEATIME, you can get 20% off of your tickets.
And when is the show?
The festival itself is from June 8th through 25.
Okay.
And we have 6 performances during that time that are spread across those 3 weeks.
Well, that's exciting.
Yeah.
I can't wait to go see your show.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you feel like you want to say?
I think as women, we just need to make sure if there's something that we want to do, go for it. Don't be afraid to start pursuing whatever it is. And then, seek out other women. Like Kara was saying about finding friends who write. I think it's also important to find friends who are producers and friends who are directors. You immediately find a group of people that you can actually work on things together.
Yeah, and it's better to have a finished project that's bad than it is to not have any project at all. Just push through, because whatever project you're currently working on may be bad, and you may hide it in a drawer and pretend it never existed, but then you're going to start your next project, and that one will be better. And some scene from that first one that has never seen the light of day might creep back into this one, like just getting it done.
Whatever you start, finish it, because it will lead you to your next thing.
And let other people read it. If you're hiding your work and nobody is reading it but you, then you aren't getting it needs daylight.
And sometimes just sharing it with people who know you and love you is a great first step, because they're most likely going to be supportive of you because they love you.
So I feel like the theme for today is like friends and community
Yes.
and like just doing the work.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I love it. I think that's great.
All right.
Cheers. Thank you so much for joining us this week. I hope that you were inspired by these 2 extraordinary women doing incredible things in the Hollywood community. If you liked the videos, go ahead and like them and then subscribe, and also share with your friends. And also let me know in the comments if you have any ideas of women you'd like me to interview or topics you'd like me to discuss with the women that I interview, so that you feel more empowered to live out your calling. And before I go, I'd like to give a shout out to my sponsor, Inca Tea. We've had a great time enjoying it, and I'm going to put their website in the description below so you can have the same tea with us. Thanks for joining us, and I'll see you next Thursday for another new video. Bye!